Hey, welcome back, guys. In this video, we're going to talk about identifying the scale factor. So, if when you have two images, if the one is getting smaller and it's getting bigger, that means your scale factor will be greater than 1. If you're going from a larger image to a smaller image, then that'll be less than 1. So, in 8th grade, we call it pre-image and image. We really don't talk about that in 7th grade. You just have to find it. All right, so let's show you what I'm talking about. So we went from a rectangle GHIJ and it's being enlarged to rectangle KLMN. These are oriented the same way, so it's pretty easy to tell. I always recommend kids to trace the smaller shape on patty paper and then organize it that way. We don't have any on a video, so I am just going to trace the smaller rectangle inside the larger rectangle. And I know that 5 centimeters, this side, which is GH, will correspond to KL. Then on the left side, GJ will correspond to KN. So I'm going to label my dimensions of 2.5. So this one is my original or my old image, and then in 8th grade we call it pre-image. And then the one on the right will be the new. So I always say, what's the word you don't ever like to hear from your parents? No. So NO, so it's new over original or new over old, whatever works for you. I don't want to deal with the decimals, so I'm just going to go with the 20. That's the new dimensions, and then the old one was 5. Now, when we simplify, it's 20 divided by 5, so that gives you 4, and your scale factor is 4. Is it greater than 1? Yes. It's getting bigger. We could check ourselves. All right, let's look at this one. So you have triangle EFG is reduced to triangle MNO. So that means our scale factor is less than 1. So I'm going to draw the small triangle to the right of it. Now I am going to label this as M. Nope, sorry. We got EFG is similar to MNO. So this would be MNO. I always recommend kids use patty paper. I always provide that in my class. You would trace the small triangle and then you would make it fit in the large triangle. And then you could see that MN corresponds to EF. And then the dimensions of MN is 2.5. And then the dimensions of NO is 3. And so NO corresponds to FG. And then the bottom, which is EG on the large triangle, that actually corresponds to MO. Now, patty paper will make your life easier. There's no question about it. Some of us can see it without patty paper. Now, this is my old and this is my new image. In 8th grade, we call it pre-image and image. So we go back to that word we don't want to hear from our parents. NO. I don't want to mess with any decimals. So I'm going to use NO for 3. That dimension is 3. And then the NO corresponds to FG, and that dimension is 6. So 3 over 6, we can scale down. They're both divisible by 3, or a greatest common factor, and it simplifies to 1/2. Did the image get smaller? Yes. Is my scale factor less than 1? Correct. So for this, the scale factor is 1/2. If you make a mistake, you're going to say 2 because you know 6 divided by 2 is 3. That is correct. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you have to put the new image over the old. And so on the homework that I gave, it was side by side. The old image was on the left and the new one was on the right. And so the way you read left to right is the exact same way we would have read it on that handout. But you typically on a STAAR test, you're going to get the statement ahead. But honestly, we don't really have to find scale factors in 7th grade. unless you're solving. And so that's when you apply your scale factor. All right, thanks for watching. I hope it helped.